I'll mute myself until it's time for me to speak.
That's fine, whatever. Make sure, well, I don't know if anybody has the YouTube on, just make sure you mute it. Mine's already muted, which is great.
By the way, Derek, I have to say how good it is to see you. I missed you.
I feel the same way, Denise, because we're people. We like people. Yeah, you and me. Yeah.
All right, so we should be, I'm just gonna check right now, see what's going on.
Yeah, Wes K, he's doing that tribute for Lance Thompson, so I did my few words yesterday on Zoom for him.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, if any of you are here with us on our MJC Science Colloquium YouTube channel, we are going to start today right at 3:15. Today we have Dr. Derek Madden, MJC biology professor. He's going to speak on science and art of yoga and looking at a monkey-human connection. Dr. Madden will discuss his research on monkey arthritis, on how monkey arthritis led him to study yoga as a scientist. Yeah, and I was thinking I read that wrong. Anyway, so right at 3:15, Denise, you can take it away. We're happy to have you here, Derek. Yeah, looks good. Everything's up and running. If you want to take it, Denise, it's all yours.
Sure. Okay, hi, I'm Denise Godbout-Savant, and it's my pleasure and honor to introduce Dr. Derek Madden, who I had the pleasure of working with for several years when I was the anatomy physiology lab technician at MJC. So Dr. Madden was born in Kansas. He did his doctoral research in Kenya and received his doctorate from the University of South Africa. He taught at the School of Field Studies in Central America and Africa and at Fresno State. He has been at MJC for over 20 years, which has included teaching biology and human anatomy and being the dean of the science, math, and engineering. He received a top-ranked biology teacher award from the California College of International Education. He is in addition to being a professor of biology and a researcher, he is an excellent artist. The Great Valley Museum had an exhibit last year before the pandemic displaying his nature drawings. He has published several California nature handbooks, which I'm showing you a picture of one of them. You can see it anyway. It's a little hard to see there, but it's called Magpie and Mayfly, Ecology of California, Central Valley, and Sierra Foothills. The Great Valley Museum, once it opens up again, they carry it in work. A variety of research projects include, I thought, some very interesting ones: rainforest canopy, connectivity, and habitat selection by primates, symbiotic ants, and an alternative defense against giraffes. Who would have thought of that? And of course, monkey arthritis, which is the subject of talk today. I'm going to hand it over to you, Derek.
All right, thank you. I'm almost speechless because this is, I've come a long ways, and these are two wonderful people that have embarrassed me with their flattery because I don't deserve it. But I'll get started because it's a story in a way. It's not like because people, if you want to learn about the history of yoga, I mean, that's easy. Or if you want to know about the positions, you know, that's easy too. But what I'm talking about is something a little different, and it's more like a journey. So I'll get started with that story. Let's see. Beautiful screen. Okay, here we go. Are we good? We can see this? Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, art and science of yoga. This view is from the San Jose Bodies exhibit, and if you get a chance to see this exhibit, you'll be amazed because each one of these muscles and tendons and bones are so precise, and they have a job to do. Let me see if I can get this thing. There we go. Okay, sorry. All right, so let me start with this story. I have a teenage daughter, and when you have a daughter that age, it's hard to get them to do anything with you. And so this is my daughter on the right, and so I had this idea. I said, hey, let's go to a yoga retreat, because you know she's like, anything I try to get her to do, she won't go to. And so she goes, well, yeah, I'll do a yoga retreat with you, Dad. And so I found this place called Srivananda in the Bahamas. And the reason I went there was because it was inexpensive, really, to be honest, you know. And so we get off the boat and we get on this little teeny island. And I'm trying to have the chanting here. It's not going, okay. So we get on this island and there's all these lights and these signs and these weird like murals like you see on the right. And she's going, Dad, I thought we were going to a spa. What are we doing? And then she sees these guys in orange robes and yellow robes and everyone's chanting. And she's going, Dad, I thought we were going to a spa. And she was very upset. Okay, you see her smiling in this picture, but she was upset. She goes, Dad, what have you done? We're going to be here 9 days. What have you done? All these weird people, these monks and swamis. And I said, hey, I'm sorry, you know, it was the cheapest one I could find, you know? Okay. So this was kind of my beginning of formal yoga. And if you go there, okay, there's chanting. And this is something we really were surprised at. We would chant for an hour and a half in the morning, and then hour and a half in the evening, and then we meditated an hour a day. So it was like 4 hours of meditation and chanting. And can you imagine a teenage girl sitting through 4 hours of, I mean, she could have killed me. Okay. But you know what? Well, I'll tell you the end of that story later. Let me just start a little bit with my background because it's been a road, okay? I don't want you to think I grew up hugging trees and eating yogurt, because that's not my past, okay? I was poor and desperate, and I was in and out of jail a lot. And I mean, here's some of my friends. I'm on, let's see. We didn't have any money. And so we broke the law a lot, and hard times in a hard place. That's if you see this caption here, because going to jail was a terrible experience for me because I was a very active young man, and I had to learn how to adapt. So that's my first pillar of being a yogi is adaptability. Because in Fresno County Jail, what I would do is at night, because you don't do yoga in the jail. You don't do yoga in the jailhouse, okay? Because there's other guys around. But at night, okay, I would flop out of my bunk and I stretch because I couldn't stand being in a little tiny cell. And sometimes the guard would come by and shine a light on me and say, "Bunk up, dirtbag," or something like that. And I'd have to jump back in my bunk. And then he'd leave and I'd do my stretches. And so I learned early, before I even knew any yoga poses, that adaptability is really important to being a yogini. And this is one of my favorite quotes. Bruce Lee: "Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one." Because, a lot of times we think, oh, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if I had this? Wouldn't it be nice if this person did that or this? But no, life is tough, man. It's a cruel world we live in. And we want to pray for strength. So that's all part of my first pillar, adaptability. All right. My second pillar, this one came when I didn't want to go to college. I didn't go to college until I was almost 30. I was working for a outward bound company, and we were doing a major assault on Himal, which here are two of the porters to the right. Well, we got blown off the mountain. It was like the third highest peak in Nepal. We got blown off the mountain, and I didn't know what to do with myself, because it was a big failure. So we heard about this Rinpoche, okay, my climbing crew. And so we searched all over Nepal. The picture to the right or to the left is one of the villagers trying to point out where the Rinpoche was, because we heard this guy could self-levitate and heal the sick. And so we searched for this Rinpoche, which we finally found, and each one of us got to talk to him. And what he asked me, he said, "Why are you climbing the mountains? Okay, why are you climbing the mountains? What's there for rock and ice?" He goes, "There's people here that could benefit from your energies." And so that's where I got service. So what my crew ended up doing was, instead of winning to the top of Himal, which is it's one of the peaks I really wanted to conquer. I mean, I flew to Japan. I trained in Japan for months, and I went to Nepal. It was such a failure, but we decided to pick up trash. And so instead of being a famous mountain climber, I was picking up trash in the Himalaya mountains. And I mean, it was such a humbling thing to experience. Oh, there's my permit to climb Manaslu. But there's service, okay? And there's a lot of research backing this up. When people retire, those who find service for others often live longer. I mean, there's researchers that study these sorts of things. The blue zones. Blue zones are where people live longer. So service for a yogi is crucial. I call it the second pillar. All right. So moving on to the third pillar. This is a huge one, okay? One that people often ignore: sleep. Now, there's different stages of sleep. And what a lot of people don't understand is each stage is important. And my favorite is stage 4, or delta. You see down this chart? You're going to hit delta maybe twice in a night, maybe a little bit a third time. This is when your DNA is repaired. Okay, you have a reverse transcriptase. It slides along your DNA and it repairs dimers, like parts of the DNA that have fused together and need to be repaired. And one of the problems with a lot of people is they take sleep aids, okay? Maybe alcohol or NyQuil or something, and they go right to sleep, but often they don't descend into stage 4, and they wake up exhausted, okay? They say, "Hey, I was in bed 9 hours. I took my NyQuil, I was in bed for 9 hours, and I woke up with a headache and I'm exhausted." And I think, well, yeah, you did not repair your DNA, dude. All you did was sleep in maybe 1, 2, or 3. If you're lucky, you got to 3. And so you didn't do any repair. And now you got to make up for it the next night. So sleep there's a lot of science on sleep. And what I learned was, here, let me move on down. I was in the Coast Guard, and this is back in the 70s, okay? They only let us sleep 5 hours a night. 5 hours a night. And so, you know, a lot of guys, you know, they had like Playboy fold outs in their locker. If I could have, I would have had a fold out of my bed, because all I could think about was sleeping. Okay. I wanted to sleep so badly, because 5 hours for a young man is not enough. But what I learned from that, I applied later in life. Okay. Denise and Liz talked about work with monkeys, and I'll say something about that. But let me talk about sleep hygiene for a minute here, because many people do have very poor sleep hygiene. Okay, you know, I mean, we know about the blue lights and we know about this and that, but sleep hygiene is powerful. What I learned in the Coast Guard was my bed was precious, because I didn't get to touch my bed until I went to sleep. And I slept so deeply, I hit stage 4 probably in 20 minutes. So what I do now is I have good sleep hygiene. I do my stretching for 20 minutes, and I don't touch my bed all day long. Okay, I don't read in my bed or watch TV. And as soon as I get out of bed, the pajamas come off. Because you see, the sleep is it's like a ritual, you know. You gotta, people can't just like watch TV and then jump in bed. That doesn't work, okay? I mean, it may work for some folks, but it's not effective, because we have to have sleep rituals where we do the same thing each night. You know, and those pajamas are part of the ritual. They go on right before we hop in bed. Okay, even odors. And so what I got out of being in the Coast Guard was sleep was kind of like a separate, wonderful event in my life every day. It was like, and I still feel that way. I love going to bed, because when I do my stretching and my rituals, I get in bed and I fall instantly asleep. It wasn't always like that, because when I had kids and work was terrible, I was on Ambien, okay? I was on prescription sleep meds. I was, you know, I mean, sleep was a terrible thing. I never knew, like, am I going to sleep tonight? I hope so. You know, now it's like I have total control. If I want to get a night's sleep, I will get a good night's sleep, and nothing will stop me. Well, mostly nothing. I mean, raising kids can can give you worries that. Okay, moving on. So, see that pillar? I want everyone to look at that again, okay? Where is it? Up here. Sleep. You cannot be a yogi if you're not sleeping well. You cannot be successful for very long if you're not sleeping well. Make sleep like a priority. You know, you have priorities like what you're going to eat during the day and what you can do. Make sleep a priority, like a precious priority, that you have a ritual and you prepare for it. You think about it an hour before you go to bed. Yeah. Treat it with respect. Okay? Because you want your DNA repaired, right? You don't want to be a walking zombie. I've been there, man. It's not good. All right. Next is movement, I think it is. Yeah, here it is, movement. Okay, so yeah, I did a lot of work with monkeys, which Denise and Liz talked about. And this was kind of a big event for me, all right? It wasn't the monkeys, but I was presenting, I was down in San Diego. So this picture on the left side, that's me with some bones. I know it's a bad photograph, but most of these photographs are mine, so they're going to be kind of blurry. And there's Dr. Lam. And Dr. Lam is a Tai Chi master. And after, you know, I gave my presentation on monkey arthritis, he and I talked. And here's Dr. Lam on the right side. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah. He's incredible, okay? And meeting him came at a good time, because I trained with him. And it was at a time when I was suffering from severe osteoarthritis. Now, this is my radiograph or x-ray. And all this white area, that shows where the bone is being compressed and stressed. So I had severe arthritis in both hips. And no one knows why, okay? I was in contact sports when I was young, and I may have been malnourished because I was poor, extremely poor. But whatever the cause, you know, what I learned is joint cartilage feeds when it's squashed, all right? Think about this. If we had blood vessels in our cartilage, every time we jump off a stool or a ladder, our joints would bleed, right? So we can't afford to have blood vessels in our cartilage. So all that cartilage, just think of it, that white part in a chicken when you're cleaning a chicken. There's no blood vessels there. So the only way cartilage feeds is when it's squashed, and then it's like a sponge, and it's going to absorb the nutrients in the joint itself. So if you're not moving, you're not feeding your cartilage. All right. If you want to move, continue to move, then you have to squash the cartilage. All right. And to do that, you got to make lots of wide-ranging movements. Okay. Sometimes I see someone shuffling along, like an elderly person. I think, no, don't do that, dude. You gotta be taking long, big steps. Yeah. You got to move like you're young. You got to fool your body. Okay, here's the traditional Tai Chi kind of poses right here. We memorize different movements. But what I like was I trained with, later on after Dr. Lam, I trained with, I call him Al Wong, Chengliang Wong. And okay, this is traditional Al Wong down at the bottom here in the white gown. And that's when he was memorizing steps. But later when I was working with him, he told me it was about energy. And it's like you're carrying a ball of energy. Okay, so, and that's kind of how I do Tai Chi now. I carry a ball of energy, and I don't care which foot goes first. I don't care which way my head turns. I carry this ball of energy, and then I push it out, and I give it to the world. It's like love and energy. And then it comes back. It comes back. And I take the ball, and I move some more. And then I push it out again. And it's kind of symbolic, but I can feel the energy. I know it sounds weird. You might think I'm a wacko, but yeah, I don't know. I'll move on. Anyway, that's Tai Chi, which I feel is a wonderful activity for developing your inner spirit. Okay, well, the pain was getting pretty bad with arthritis. And so I had heard of this guy called William Lee, and there's a book. I read his book, The Zen Approach to Body Therapy. And this is where I learned to be open, because, as an anatomy professor, I have never seen a trigger point, okay? I mean, what are these things, trigger points? I mean, they don't show up on the cadavers. They don't make any sense to me, but I got lucky to work with William Lee, the author of that book. It's not a very good photograph, but here he is with Master Roshi. And he was my body work trainer down in Esalen in San Diego. I spent about 3 weeks with him, just living down there, and every day for like 9 hours working on deep body tissue work. And these trigger points, I'm telling you, and that relates to my be open. Okay, you gotta be open. Because, okay, I'm an anatomy professor, and I've never seen a trigger point, but I'm open to the idea that they exist. Okay, miracles exist. And we don't want to assume we wake up in the morning, our day is going to be a certain way, because life is full of unexpected moments. One thing I like about deep body work is knuckles and thumb, because I can get my thumb in there or my knuckles, and you usually hold the trigger point for like 7, 8, 9 seconds, and you can just see your client just like relax suddenly. Okay, trigger point is not a fast, and you know what? The trigger point on one day may be different on the next day on the same patient. All right, so that's why it's a bizarre, man. You gotta. I'm going back to this word: be open. Like everything in the world does not make sense. Okay. If you do fact finding on me here, you'll probably go, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, moving on to my next pillar, which, let's get the words here. It is connections. All right, and this is true for the blue zones. Blue zones are where people live like 110 years or longer. I think Denise is going to be one of our blue zone people, because there are certain things that people do to live a long life, and one of them is connections. Okay, people who are isolated, it just doesn't work. Okay, I mean, we get comfortable with it and we think it's okay, but we need other humans. And so my connections here are, these are my two kids. They went to Panama with me, and they've been doing research with me for probably 10 years. And here we are, we walked across Spain. This is the foot drain, by the way. We would walk all day, and then at the end of the day, we couldn't sleep because our feet were so swollen. So we put our feet up on packs and drain the blood back down into our body. So, you know, and if you're suffering, it's better to suffer with someone else, you know? Suffering alone, not a good idea. So connections are so important. And even with my research, my early research, I was noticing that the primates, you know, they're really connected to the environment. And of course, their pelvis, you know, it's all interconnected. The femur with the pelvis, and then the foot. And that's why I started wearing barefoot shoes, because I noticed that my feet became more muscular when I stopped wearing big, bulky shoes. It's all connected. Life is mostly a series of failures, okay? And when we're with others, those failures are not as bad, all right? So stay connected. I know it means sometimes driving extra distance, or maybe listening to someone who's boring for you, but it's a powerful event happening when you're around people. It's just that's the way we're built. All right, on to my next pillar, breath. And right here you see a fabulous woman by the name of Kia Miller. I met Kia Miller as she's a Kundalini. You see this white turban right here? That is the symbol of a Kundalini master. And Kundalini is all about breath. So I spent 7 days with her training in Kundalini. It's a type of yoga, but it focuses on breath. And you know, a lot of people, just like sleep, they don't respect breath. I was reading a transcript by Andrew Weil, who's a famous physician that's expert on health. And someone asked him, what's the one thing you could do to improve your health? Andrew Weil said, breathe properly, okay? Breath. And so I spent 7 days. It sounds insane, you know, but I spent 7 days learning how to breathe. And this was down at Esalen Institute. And Kia Miller, I mean, this woman is just like, oh, she appeared in several journals of yoga. I can't hardly say enough about goodness about her. She's like one of those magical people. I don't know. Anyway, I learned how to breathe, and that's huge, because when we breathe properly, a lot of physiologic changes occur in our body, and that's one way I prepared for sleep. Because when you worry, you're going to breathe fast. Okay, when you're planning, you're going to breathe fast, and that gets back to sleep. When I sleep, okay, the bed is not for worrying. If I start worrying, then I jump out of bed. The bed is not for planning. If I start planning, I jump out of bed. Because when you plan and you worry, you're going to breathe faster, and that is not conducive for sleep. And so breath is kind of at the core of being a yogini or a yogi master. Breathing. And if we catch ourselves, sometimes we're taking shallow breaths. And that's no way to be a warrior. Shallow breathing. It's no way to be successful. It's no way to sleep. It's really a very little advantage to take shallow breaths. But we do it all day long. We do it all day long, you know, most of us, including me if I'm not careful. So watch your breathing, okay? Deep breaths. And when you breathe deeply, you can't worry, okay? I'm telling you, you cannot take deep, long, relaxing breaths and worry at the same time. You know, it just doesn't work that way. So catch yourself shallow breathing, then you go, okay, man, switch it over, deep breathe. Okay, touch. Now, there's a lot of research done on touch. We know that babies need to be touched. You know, humans need to be touched. We have all these receptors in our skin. If you ever watch a dog jump in a cold pool of water and it doesn't bother them, it's because dogs don't have millions of sensory neurons in the dermis and the epidermis of their skin. But we do, because we're hairless, right? We're hairless, and we can detect a mosquito landing on our skin or a tick crawling on our skin. Okay, we are incredibly sensitive. And yet, you know, we don't apply what we know about touch. We don't touch each other. I know there's creepy people out there, and we you know, we have these laws for a reason. But where possible, touching is very important. And I worked with Rob Wilkes, this gentleman right up here at the top of the black and white photo. He taught me how to do massage with a patient facing upwards. So right here, if you look on the right, see this? Working the back. And I like this style because, you know, when someone's face down, sometimes they get congested, or their nose is getting smashed, or you have to have a special platform for their face. But he taught me how to do access the back while they're laying on their back. And he used to say, you know, Rob used to say, I worked with him for the long stroke. That's the long stroke. Anyway, he would say, love the head. Okay. And so I would massage a person's head, like forehead. And, you know, you think, well, that's not part of they didn't come in to have their head massaged, but it does something. Okay. There's energy going on. Okay. It gets back to the being open idea. We human beings are built for touch. Okay, I mentioned the millions of neurons. Okay, and so some research done on massage. The blue is a massage group, red is a control group. By week 4, the I think this is by the measured by breathing rate, oxygenation. These people are more relaxed. Okay, so I know it's expensive to get massage, and you don't have to do that. You can even just hug your dog or cat, because there's evidence, or there's good evidence that, you know, talking to your pet, hugging your cat or dog causes release of oxytocin in the bloodstream, and it gives us that good feeling. So you don't have to go to a massage parlor. You can just touch a pet, or when you walk by a family member or someone, you know, give them a little nudge, you know. Often that's all it takes. And when I do yoga myself, I touch myself. Okay, like when I'm doing my stretches, I'm like I'm kneading dough, like I'm gonna build a pizza crust. I'm kneading my legs, my elbows, my arms, my face. All right, and so if you have to, you touch yourself. Okay, it's got to be done. All right, if you want to live a yogini or yoga life, you got to incorporate touch somehow. All right, you got to figure it out. Okay, here's another topic, and this one's huge. And I don't want to keep you here too long. I'll try to move a little quicker here. Ancestral foods. Okay, now I worked in Amazonia for the National Cancer Institute. Our job was to go into the rainforest and figure out cures for cancer. And we worked with the Quechua Indians. And this is Mercedes cooking termites. Well, you know, we didn't get very far with the cancer project, because I'll tell you, a lot of these guys were, they're mostly doing food. They're looking for nutritious foods or alcoholic beverages. Okay. You know, they had lots of ways of making pombe or alcoholic brew. But what I noticed was they all had home gardens. And, you know, I took these photographs, and this guy's deep in the Amazon. He's got his own pharmacy growing in his garden. Okay. He doesn't need to go to a local pharmacy, because he's got his own pharmacy right there growing. He has medicinal herbs, and they work. Okay. A lot of them are, I mean, they have some impurities, but these they don't eat cereal, okay? And this, here's Rocio and Jaime. I'm on plant medicines. And the same thing when I lived in Kenya for 2 years. I worked on a ranch, and here's Tom Boy and Malay. These guys, they eat plants, okay? I mean, every once in a while, I mean, here's Maundu. Maundu's harvesting, we got Kangoni. Sometimes we got meat, but for the most part, it was all about plants. And we even managed plants, okay? This is Peter Muga. And Peter Muga and I did a project out there because we were trying to improve the rangeland. And so it's funny how in Kenya, I never saw cold cereal, okay? You know, like in our country, people eating grape nuts and all kinds of things. But those cereals, you know, they're just ground up powders and they're baked, and it's almost like sugar, even the healthy ones, like shredded wheat and grape nuts. They're basically like, they're so close to being sugars. But in these countries, let me get back to that word, they are strong, powerful people because they eat ancestral foods. Okay, they don't eat little crackers. They laugh at it. They think, because they know I can't do a day's work on crackers or cereal. So that's real important. And there's a lot of good research on this as well, on the release of nitric oxide. Some people buy nitric oxide like in a jar at the store, but if you eat plants and other sorts of foods, you know, fish, nuts, dark chocolate, you can release your own nitric oxide. You don't need to buy expensive products that they like to sell us. All right, boogie it. All right, this is important too, because what the researcher, this is my son Aaron, okay, now he was bit and scratched, and he was like, Dad, why do I got to keep climbing these trees? I'm tired of climbing the trees, Dad. But you know, that's the only way we could really see what monkeys are doing. All right. And what we found when we went up there was the monkeys boogie it, because the old monkeys, because we worked in Panama, Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua. We worked all in different areas of the Central America looking for the oldest monkeys we could find, because we wanted to see how do old monkeys move. And what we found was the old monkeys move like the young monkeys. Yeah. And so we need to apply that to our own lives. Like I said, that senior citizen shuffling along, no. Okay, maybe we're old and we're slow, because I'm old and slow. But we got to pretend like we're young, because in the wild, these monkeys move, the old monkeys move like the juveniles. Okay, they take the risks, they take the jumps, and we did this. We measured this with camera photography and imaging, and so we had very good data that we published. And this is the highway of a monkey. Okay, so they're moving through these corridors, and they're avoiding biting insects and thorns. They're looking for food, and the old monkeys are doing it just like the juveniles. Okay, they're not being safe. They don't have any remote controls or anything. I mean, they're taking all the risks the juveniles are. So my message is, we got to pretend like we're young forever. Okay, we can't afford ourselves to start thinking we're old. A yogi just keeps going. A lot of these guys are like 112, 13, 15 years old, the yogis, because they follow these regimens. Okay, I'm going to end it here real soon, because I started the story with my daughter, and she said, Dad, what have you gotten us into? And she was so angry. Well, she ended up the next year, she said, Dad, let's go back to the ashram. And then I signed up for yoga teacher training. And so we're doing that as well. So this is my daughter. And then here's my son, another failure, okay? Because once we realize that life is a series of failures, it seems like there's some peace that comes about from that. Because we stop looking for like Disneyland to save us. We realize that life is just like one failure after another. And so here's my daughter and I. She wanted to run when I took this picture the first time. She's like, "Dad, what is this place? What are these nuts with these?" The orange robes, by the way, are swamis. The yellows are practicing swamis, which is what I am. All right, so thank you for listening. If there are questions, I'm ready.
That was awesome, Derek. That was a good talk. I loved it. That was kind of fun. I enjoyed seeing your kids.
Thank you. Thanks.
We have a few questions and comments. This one is from Sarah Davis. Hi, Derek. How important is posture while sleeping?
Okay, sleep is sometimes called the silent storm. All right, silent storm because people have this misconception that sleep, we just lay there. But in reality, the body is frantically repairing itself, and movement is important because like sometimes I was an EMT, and every once in a while we'd pick up an alcoholic who had passed out and their arm was asleep underneath them, and sometimes they lost their arm. So posture, I think movement's important. Posture, there's a lot of variation there. If someone's on a CPAP, or they have physical limitations, that's a hard question for me to field. Putting a pillow between the knees and sleeping on the side is often a good place to start because it helps with the spinal alignment. So I recommend that as a pillow between the knees, sleeping on the side to start off, because that also allows the stomach and the lungs. That's how a yogi would start sleeping. But expect to move. Okay, sleep is silent storm.
Yeah, she also commented that she just bought something called a Colloquium that promotes an aligned neck and spine, and she feels the difference. So that's good. Yeah,
I've seen that. I've seen that advertised. So I'm curious. That's cool. It works.
And then there's another question or comment from Aaron Thompson. This is especially important during a pandemic. Is there any research to show that self-touch helps to increase our own oxytocin levels?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In many ways. Yes, I mean, we also have requirements, reproductive requirements that need to be maintained, and so that's one area that we have clear responses from the endocrine system. Yes, so yes, there's lots of evidence for that.
And then there's, just so you know, there's a couple nice comments from Aaron Littlepage. Thank you so much. Samaya Madsoy, thank you very much. So a few thank yous out there. I would also say thank you. And then here's another question. Is there any evidence among humans, apart from yogis, to show that increased movement throughout our lifetime leads to better outcomes?
Yes, we see it in hospitals, or we see it in senior centers when there's people that have no movement going on. We see atrophying of the muscle tissue, and all organs need to be stimulated. So yeah, there's in the health field, we know this quite well. That's why sometimes after a procedure, a patient may be hooked up to a machine that articulates their knee or moves an elbow to keep the blood pumped in there, not only to prevent embolisms, but to maintain the tone, muscle tone. So yes, there is.
Awesome. And then what is your opinion on cupping during massage therapy? Do you think it helps release the fascia and help with blood flow, or is it just placebo effect?
I know what cupping is. I don't have any training in that area. And if you remember, one of my pillars is to be open. You know, okay, so what if it is placebo? I mean, if you get a desired result, placebo could be like we do this to ourselves a lot. We think something good's happening, or we think something's right, and it turns out not to be. But we have that glow, that good feeling. So I don't have any. I can't say anything concrete, except if you feel better because of it and you believe in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I kind of think the thing of, if it works for you and you feel better, it's a good thing. That's all our questions for today. This has been an awesome talk. It's a good way to end our Colloquium series this spring. I think we needed some of these reminders right now when we're all stressed out and working hard and maybe cutting corners on taking care of ourselves. I think there's a lot of good self-care here that's helpful, and I like it. So everybody, and again, Derek, thank you. Thank you for giving us your time and your insight and kind of view. This was nice today. I hope all of you guys will join us in the fall. We're starting to work on a schedule and dates and put together a program for fall 2021. We will be posting that on our YouTube channel probably around August. So come back and visit and see what we have coming up for you in the fall. And that's it from us today, and I hope everybody has a good rest of their semester. And I'll say bye to you guys.
Thank
Bye. You. Thanks, Derek.
You're welcome. That was fun. Thank you.
It was great.